All right, we are going to transition to learn about free evidence-based resources that are designed to support social and emotional learning as well as some well-being across our school communities. We are going to introduce our next speaker. We have Tiffany Carson, who's going to come up. Tiffany serves as the Director of School and District Support at the Santa Barbara County Education Office, where she leads initiatives focused on social and emotional learning and organizational wellness. With nearly 20 years of experience as a special education teacher, high school administrator, and district leader, she plays an active role in the statewide CalHOPE community of practice, helping connect districts with resources, professional learning, and funding to support students, educators, and families. Please help me welcome Tiffany. Oh yeah, let's give her a little hi-ya. Come on up, Tiffany. Hi-ya. You ready? Oh, see, she's got it. All right. This is on, and you've got a clicker, but this guy's a little temperamental, so good luck with him.
Okay. Yay, everybody, here we are. Good afternoon. I am so pleased and honored to be here with you today, learning with and from each and every one of you. We've done a lot for our hearts, we've done a lot for our heads. I'm gonna ask, as we go into this last final session, if we can lean in and to kind of get us to shift our energy a bit, would you all stand up? We're just gonna do a brief shake it out. Okay, so everybody take up your right hand. We're gonna shake it 5 times. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, put it down. Get your left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down. Right foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put it down. Left foot. Lean on the buddy if you need to. 3, 4, 5. Okay. We're gonna repeat that, but we're gonna start going down. So we're gonna do it 4 times. 4 times. 4 times. 4 times. And 3, 3, 3. 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 1. Are we ready? Yes. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Sometimes we need that little bit of shift in energy. Okay, so we have had a rich day of learning together, exploring the scorecard for Santa Barbara County, the children's scorecard. We've considered how to align our wellness efforts with the whole school, whole community, and whole child model. Let's see, we've also heard practical strategies to strengthen staff well-being, and we've just talked about how we can expand our window of tolerance. So many wonderful resources, and I'm going to gift or burden you today, depending on how you're feeling at the end of the day, with additional resources. So as was shared earlier, my name is Tiffany Carson, and I am a Director of School and District Support at the County Education Office. And in this role, I lead initiatives focused on social and emotional learning and organizational wellness. So that work includes connecting schools and districts with resources, professional learning, and funding that can help strengthen well-being and connection in our communities. So in our time together today, I'm going to give us a brief history of SEL in California and our county, brief, and then I'm going to walk us through a resource guide with free evidence-based tools that were designed specifically for schools and communities to engage in social and emotional learning. Some of those resources are going to be from the CalHOPE SEL initiative. Some are going to be from the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley, and then some are going to be from Safe Spaces, which some of you may be familiar with. So my hope is that this session provides you with some practical materials and inspiration for your own practice, but also things that you can immediately use with students, staff, team members, and your community partners. So I'd like to begin today with an inclusion activity. We've had a lot of modeling today, and here's another example of a strategy that we can all engage with no matter what our role. So inclusion activities are short, intentional exercises, usually between 2 to 10 minutes, that are designed to help everybody feel seen, to feel safe, and ready to contribute to work, whatever the work is, if that's work of a classroom in a lesson or with a team. Inclusion activities are one of 3 evidence-based SEL signature activities that have been identified by CASEL. Raise your hands. Has anybody here heard of CASEL before? A few, yes? Okay, great. They are the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. And as we're seeing, they're widely, inclusion activities and the work of CASEL is known within our county. So for today's activity, I'm going to lead us through a gratitude practice. We've heard the term gratitude practice come up in a number of our sessions, but let's actually engage in one together. So I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If not, that's okay. Just take a moment, find a space to focus, and take a breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Think about this past week. Has there been an instance when someone made you laugh? A stranger was kind to you? How many of you were able to see the beautiful full moon that we had? Have you seen something this week that made you feel hopeful or joyful? Now think about this week. Is there something this week that you are looking forward to? It could be time with friends. It could be time by yourself. A new book or a TV show that you're enjoying. And now think about your friends and your relationships. Have you had a conversation with someone you care about recently? Have you given or received a word of encouragement? Taken a moment to support something you're working on or thinking about? Has somebody made food for you? Who is someone in your life that you are grateful for? And as you think about them, how do they make you feel? What is it about them that makes you grateful? Do they make you laugh? Do they make you feel safe? Do they make you feel seen and understood? Take another breath in and then out. And then open your eyes, but keep that person you are grateful for in your mind. And while you keep them there, I invite you to bring out your phones. Yes, bring out your phones. And take out your phone and take a moment to text that person. Let them know that you're grateful for them. Tell them why. And then when you're ready, put down your device and just look at me so that I know that you're done. If you're still wrapping up, that's okay. But for those of you who are done, tell me, how do you feel after sending out that text? Feel free to speak it to the room. Happy. Anything else? Peaceful. Yeah. How about one more? Grateful. Yeah. That practice didn't take a long time. It was able to make you feel good. And we would like to imagine or hope that the person receiving those texts also just had a moment where they felt uplifted, where they also felt good. There's actual research and science to indicate that practicing gratitude can significantly enhance both well-being and happiness. And some of that research has shown that gratitude can increase our positive psychology and well-being. It can reduce the negative emotions that we're feeling when we're thinking about how to self-regulate, right? Gratitude is one of those things that can help us regain our balance. It improves our mental health, and it also just increases pro-social behavior. So all of these things are a benefit both to students and to adults. And the gratitude practice is something that can be adapted for schools, adults, for organizations or teams. Anybody can have a gratitude practice, right? Now, understanding gratitude and what it is, how it feels, and how to intentionally practice it, that is an example of a social and emotional skill, an example of having awareness and demonstrating care, something that we all engage in. Social and emotional learning is that process of developing social and emotional skills like the gratitude practice that we just experienced. SEL equips us to understand and manage our emotions, set positive goals, show empathy for others, and maintain positive relationships and make responsible decisions. And many of us have the fortune to develop this naturally through our relationships and interactions with families, communities, and schools. And for some of us, SEL practices are really easy for us to access. But for many of us, particularly in times of stress, anxiety, and disconnection, much like times that we're in now, these skills need to be intentionally and explicitly taught, or intentionally and explicitly provided the space and time to practice and engage in. We also know, and we've heard in many of the presentations today, that our students cannot thrive if the adults in their schools are not well and supported with social and emotional learning themselves. So as the demand for holistic education grows, integrating SEL into our schools is essential for supporting the whole child, the whole community, the whole school. So what does social and emotional learning look like within our schools? So for students, SEL means helping them with identifying emotions, developing self-confidence, perspective taking and empathy, mindfulness, responsible decision-making, and creating healthy habits. These skills are important for everybody, regardless of our differences or abilities. And it's a vital part of all of human development. Now, in schools, supporting adult SEL includes supporting student-to-educator relationships, but also educator-to-educator relationships. We talked a lot about adult-to-adult relationships. How are we doing in terms of our interactions with one another? It also means embedding SEL into academic practices, implementing restorative approaches, and intentionally practicing strategies for using SEL to proactively and responsively support classroom and school community. So this is all of the work that is crucial for establishing and maintaining a positive work culture, one of those things that we talked about earlier that kind of frames how our students are learning and how we feel about being at work. And then finally, we also have support for SEL systems, structures, and school culture. So that means using data, both quantitative and qualitative, going out in the street, empathy interviews, talking to people, using data to improve systems and student outcomes. This could mean organizational wellness coaching and developing wellness centers. I know that many of you here are engaged in that work in your local communities. Schools and organizations, we know, cannot be well without considering all of the individuals in the system. So that includes thinking about social and emotional learning for our students with disabilities, our multilingual learners, any of our foster youth, and it also means thinking about the partner agencies who we collaborate with when we're thinking about wellness, right? Schools are part of a greater community ecosystem, and support at all of these three levels happens not only in the context of school, but within the school community ecosystem. So that's why it's so meaningful that we're all here today, not just supporters of schools and students, but also as supporters of each other. We need to have that ecosystem. So educators, parents, and researchers, many of us as well, have long recognized the benefits of social and emotional learning. But as we all experienced in COVID-19, there was a dramatic heightening of the need to address SEL explicitly in our schools and communities. So in response to the behavioral health crisis that was occurring, because of the pandemic, the California Department of Healthcare Services partnered with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, who we all know as FEMA, to provide free outreach, crisis counseling, and resilience building resources to local communities. A $33 million investment launched this effort, and in June 2020, if we think back to our pandemic timelines, in June 2020, an organization called CalHOPE was established to manage and deliver those kind of much needed resources. And the best way to deliver those resources to children and families, leaders came to realize, was through county offices of education. So in early 2021, the CalHOPE School Initiative was created with 3 objectives. One was to build and sustain a CalHOPE SEL community of practice for county education offices. 2, to ensure a permanent free collection of SEL resources. And 3, to distribute funds to county offices of education to support SEL locally. And over the past 5 years, more than $50 million has been committed specifically to SEL in education. And from the beginning, our county office has played an active role in these efforts. With statewide SEL resources and grant funds, the Santa Barbara County Education Office was able to host a local SEL community of practice to build connections and share resources, and it was modeled after the statewide COP, and some of you were participants in that COP, so it's great to see you here. We were also able to distribute mini grants directly to schools and districts, which funded counselors, professional learning for educators, experiential learning for students, specialized coaching, and some other things. And we were able to partner with our districts and identify SEL focal schools who strategically piloted and evaluated SEL strategies locally, and they received additional coaching and professional development in return. We continued to connect districts to free evergreen resources, and today, what we'd like to do is share some of those resources with you. These resources address student, adult, and systems well-being, and they're applicable both inside our schools and outside of our schools. So they are resources that I truly believe can help us thrive together, and we're going to explore them today. So earlier I said, this is not a presentation where you need to worry about having your phones away. So if you have your phone or your laptop, I would encourage you to get them out. On the screen, you'll see a URL link and a QR code, and also on your tables, you should have this paper version here, and if you open it up to the front page, the URL and QR code are in there as well. So this digital brochure was created by our county office to curate and share many of the resources available to support SEL. And each resource that's in that digital brochure is fully clickable. So the idea is the brochure kind of puts them all in one place, but then we can go deeper and explore each of the resources. As I said, the best way to experience this document is electronically, so please take out your preferred device, and you have this brochure, and I would encourage you, don't feel like you have to keep it here. You can take this with you when you leave the conference. You can share this brochure, and I believe that the slide deck is also being linked into a resource folder, so the slide deck with all of this is yours to use as well. Now, once you open the brochure, you'll see that there are far too many resources for us to cover in one day. So instead, I'm going to highlight a selection that are accessible, practical, and immediately applicable. And I'm going to show you how to navigate them, give you a little time to explore them on your own, and then discuss them with others around you. So to recap, I'm going to 1, demo, 2, you'll get to explore, and 3, then you're going to get to chat with a partner. And of course, as an educator, I know that the minute I say go look at something on your laptops, you're probably all going and looking at them and not necessarily listening to me anymore. So if that is the best way for you to explore this resource, that is also okay. We're all adult learners in this room. All right. So once you open the brochure, you may notice that the first 2 pages of resources all come from the same source, and that's the Greater Good Science Center. And the research that we have around the gratitude practice that we engaged in earlier actually comes from the Greater Good Science Center. It was established in UC Berkeley in 2001 with the purpose of exploring the roots of happy and compassionate individuals, strong social bonds, and altruistic behavior, what they term as the science of a meaningful life. And the Greater Good Science Center is committed not only to conducting research, but to sharing and applying what they discover. It's part of their mission and vision not to keep it to themselves, but to actually disseminate it. And their work focuses on a few things that I really want to highlight. First is shifting public perception to see kindness and compassion as innate human traits. I'm going to say that again. Kindness and compassion as innate human traits. It's really easy for us to quickly lose sight of that belief. They also want to increase awareness of the factors that promote social and emotional well-being and compassionate behavior, expand the demand for evidence-based programs that support social and emotional well-being, and advance an understanding in education specifically of how to foster SEL, preparing students to manage conflict, stress, and kindness. So their goal is to improve emotional well-being across institutions, schools, families, workplaces, through compassionate and balanced responses. And they share their work and resources in three primary ways that we're going to explore. So the first is the Greater Good magazine. We've got the Greater Good in Action and the Greater Good in Education. And their website is curated through these three things. So if you're in the brochure and you click on the Greater Good Science Center logo, you're going to be taken to that main page. We're going to now watch short videos on each of these three elements to see their similarities and differences in terms of format, content, and intended audience, and then we'll have a little bit of time to explore and discuss. So we're going to begin with the Greater Good magazine, promoting science-based insights for a meaningful life.
Welcome to the Greater Good magazine webpage, offering practical research and resources from the Greater Good and Science Center at UC Berkeley for free. This page is updated frequently to provide users with a variety of articles, quizzes, videos, and other materials giving science-based insights for a meaningful life. One strategy for exploring this page is to scroll down past the main header. Here, you will see resources are sorted into three columns: the most popular articles, the most recently posted, and a happiness calendar for the month. Let's take a moment to explore the happiness calendar for September. Each month, a specific theme or essential element of social and emotional wellness is highlighted. This month, the theme is celebrating growth and change. Each day of the calendar has a goal or a practice to aspire to. And if you click on that goal, you will be taken to another webpage with more details or research about the essential element or practice. Use the monthly calendar as part of your personal routine or with a team you work with. When we go back up to the top of the Greater Good magazine page, we can find other ways to explore the content. Select the Topics header, and you'll be able to select social and emotional wellness topics of interest and find a database of articles from the Greater Good magazine on those topics. Select the Quizzes header, and you'll be able to find over 20 different quizzes that will help you self-reflect on topics such as stress and anxiety, altruism, gratitude, social capital, and happiness at work, to name a few. Select the Videos header to explore an archive of videos capturing interviews, talks by experts, informational videos, and more on themes aligned to the Greater Good essential elements, key practices, and wellness topics. You'll also find a similar archive under Podcasts if you prefer to listening to content rather than watching it. And finally, by clicking on the Keys to Wellbeing header, you can explore all of the available resources in the magazine by the essential practices identified by the Greater Good Science Center as key to social and emotional wellness. These practices show up in the Greater Good magazine and are elaborated upon in the Greater Good in Action webpage. To return to the original view of the Greater Good magazine page, click on the Greater Good magazine logo at the top. You can bookmark this tab or sign up for the Greater Good magazine to be sent directly to your email. How will you explore these science-based insights for meaningful life?
So now we'll take a look at the Greater Good in Action, which also takes those science-based practices a step further.
Welcome to the Greater Good in Action webpage, offering practical research and resources from the Greater Good and Science Center at UC Berkeley for free. On this page, you'll find 14 essential elements of social and emotional well-being. Each of these elements is represented by a clickable button, which will take you to signature practices to help you strengthen, develop, or explore that social and emotional skill. You can also navigate to these elements using the drop-down menu on the upper left-hand side of the screen that says Practices. Select an essential element of social and emotional well-being that you're curious about. Perhaps it is an element you would like to explore or develop. Perhaps it is an area you want to focus on with your students or your team. Let's choose empathy as an example. You'll see that the cards with practices specifically supporting empathy are now filtered and selected below. Each card has a title and a description of the practice. You'll also see a label providing the level of intensity and amount of time the practice will require. These labels are casual, moderate, or intensive. You will also see an average rating of the practice out of 5 stars based on feedback from registered users of the Greater Good in Action website. Let's select a sample card by clicking on Capitalizing on Positive Events. Once we select the practice, we see a more detailed snapshot of what to expect at the top of the page. You can then read through details about how to do the practice, why you should do the practice, links to podcasts on the practice through the Greater Good Science Center, and sometimes links to additional resources, like a quiz to engage the practice in a different way. All of these resources are available to download or print. Ready to look for other practices or essential elements? Click on the Greater Good in Action logo at the top of your screen to return to the main page where you can discover daily practices. How might you put the resources on this page into action in your life?
Okay, and now we have the final segment. So this is the Greater Good in Education, science-based practices for kinder, happier schools.
Welcome to the Greater Good in Education webpage, offering practical research and resources from the Greater Good in Science Center at UC Berkeley for free. This page is updated frequently to provide our users with a variety of articles, mini lessons, videos, and other materials supporting science-based practices for kinder, happier schools. While some of the essential elements of social and emotional wellness are the same as the elements explored on the Greater Good magazine and Greater Good in Action web pages, the strategies and practices offered here were developed and explicitly researched with students and educators in mind. When you first arrive at the homepage, scroll below the main header to see resources organized by 5 categories: academic instruction, school relationships, adult well-being, student well-being, and programs for educators. The academic instruction section highlights ways to integrate social-emotional learning into subject-specific teaching. For example, in science, you'll find practices that connect inquiry-based learning with mindfulness, helping students slow down and reflect on their observations. In math, there are strategies for cultivating gratitude and celebrating the learning process, not just correct answers. In language arts, there are resources for building empathy through perspective taking and storytelling, exploring diverse perspectives in texts. Each resource combines background research, classroom-ready activities, and reflection prompts to make integration simple and meaningful. When we click on school relationships, we'll find resources focused on fostering belonging and connection across the school community. Some of the key areas include positive teacher-student relationships with strategies like 2x10 check-ins, where just 2 minutes a day for 10 days can build trust and connection. Or positive peer relationships, activities designed to strengthen friendships and collaboration between students. Or family and community partnerships, where there are tools for engaging families and caregivers in meaningful ways to support student success. These practices are flexible and can be adapted for individual classrooms, grade-level teams, or school-wide implementation. The adult well-being and student well-being sections are packed with resources to support both educators and learners. For adult well-being, you'll find tools for reducing stress through mindfulness, building resilience, cultivating a sense of purpose and balance. For student well-being, the focus is on supporting students' social and emotional growth. Some featured topics include awe, simple practices that help students notice the beauty and wonder around them. Growth mindset, strategies to encourage perseverance and confidence. SEL kernels, short, playful routines to build emotional regulation and empathy. And trauma-informed schools, tools to better support students navigating adversity. These resources can be woven into daily routines, advisory programs, and even school-wide wellness initiatives. Under programs for educators, there are opportunities to deepen your own professional learning. There are online courses on topics like mindfulness, emotional resilience, and equity. There are free community meetings where educators connect and share practices. And there are monthly communities of practice built around specific SEL themes. These programs may have a fee, but they are designed to support both personal growth and school-wide transformation. And there's something especially valuable for California educators. If you create a free login as a California educator, you gain access to 9 in-depth learning modules at no cost. These will be found here. The modules cover a range of topics, including caring for ourselves, building emotional resilience, creating safety and belonging in schools, teaching for social, emotional, and academic development, committing to racial equity and culturally responsiveness, addressing trauma and supporting student mental health, strengthening family and community engagement, mindfulness, and well-being. Each module blends research, guided practice, and practical tools you can start using immediately. The Greater Good in Education website is a rich hub of evidence-based practices to support teaching, learning, and thriving school communities. Take a few minutes to explore the site and bookmark your favorite resources. How might you bring these tools into your classroom, your interactions with students, and your daily life?
Okay, so that's a little like drinking water through a fire hose. There's a lot of information on the site, and the videos are there for you to either introduce these topics with your teams or for you to go back and kind of navigate later. But what I'd love for us to do now is take a moment. Now that you've seen the different elements of the greater good, I'd like to give us a few quiet minutes and go back and just explore on your devices. What are some of the resources that intrigued you? Are there any that you might use personally? Are there any that you might use with your team? Were there any resources that stood out right away? Or can you see any of these resources being immediately useful in your work? So I'm going to give us time to pause, to do a little exploration, to talk to some of the people at your table about what you're seeing, and then I'll call us back in a few minutes.
Feel free to talk to your table partners. I know that I'm still seeing some people scrolling and exploring, but make sure you have some time for table talk. I love hearing all the good conversations, but see if you can begin to wrap them up. Okay, wherever you are in your conversation is where you're meant to be. Let's see if we can close out our sentences, close out our thoughts. Conversations are continuing, which is good. I'd love to hear from a table. Is there any table who's willing to share a little bit about what they might be thinking about the greater good? Well, y'all were talking, so you had some thoughts. Yes. I love that. So in case you weren't able to hear, they're like, yes, this is a lot of information. But a strategy that we're going to use to make sure that we re-engage is they signed up for the newsletter. And I think that's a great next step. So that way the newsletter can come out as a reminder when you have a little bit more cognitive time, when you have a little bit more energy to explore some of the resources. Great first step. Anybody else want to share? Yes.
I didn't get to look at everything, but I'm interested in the greater good education and maybe practicing some things during a team meeting so that sit with the students.
I love it. Finding something within the Greater Good Education website, practicing it, and then seeing if you can implement it in small groups with small teams so then they can kind of spread that and try that same practice with their teams. I think the key with this website really is start small and just dive into that one thing. It could be you only look at the calendar, you ignore the rest, and you just go to the calendar. But whatever it is, find that activity and then explore more when you're able to. The next resource that I'd like to highlight is not going to be nearly as diverse and expansive. I'm curious, by a show of hands, how many of you are already familiar with safe spaces? A few of us. Okay, great. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Safe Spaces is a training that was developed by the California Office of the Surgeon General to provide a strong foundation in trauma-informed practice for education and care settings. It's a free online program designed for anybody working with children and youth, so not just educators, to recognize and respond to signs of trauma and to signs of stress. There are 3 different modules, and each is for a different age range, and each module is about 2 hours long. It includes case examples, videos, strategies, and practices, and these modules can be completed individually, or there's facilitation guides for you to do this work with a team. The training builds on the pioneering work of Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, who is California's first Surgeon General, and she was the one who championed awareness of adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, and their impact on health, learning, and well-being. So her leadership really emphasized the importance of addressing root causes and supporting children and families as early as possible. So we have another brief overview video of Safe Spaces to watch together.
Stress and trauma have a profound effect on young people's health, development, and ability to learn. That's why it's so important to create an environment for our children and youth to thrive. The educational and early care workforce play a vital role in creating these safe and nurturing spaces. Introducing Safe Spaces, a free online training from the California Surgeon General that provides education and early care personnel the tools they need to recognize and respond to stress and trauma in children and youth.
What the science clearly shows is that the antidote to toxic stress is safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and environments. And what that means is that everyone who interacts with young children has a really important opportunity to be that source of buffering.
Being trauma-informed means being aware that ACEs and toxic stress are common and that they can impact our mental and physical health, our behavior, and our overall well-being. The Safe Spaces curriculum provides that understanding, that awareness, but also concrete tools and strategies that we can use to help kids, families, and ourselves to address ACEs, toxic stress, and those everyday stressors that we all face.
Access Safe Spaces online. Choose your training module, each focused on a different age group, and gain the foundations of a trauma-informed practice within 2 hours.
When it comes to supporting kids experiencing ACEs and toxic stress, it just takes one caring adult to be the difference for that child.
So whether that person is the custodian, a paraprofessional, a bus driver, a teacher, an administrator, a counselor, we can each play a valuable role in supporting the students that we serve.
We have the opportunity to reimagine mental health and emotional well-being for all children and youth. Take the training at www.osg.ca.gov/safe spaces, because everyone needs a safe space.
Okay, so again, the purpose of this time together is not to go deep into all of the resources, but to give you just enough so that when you later have time to look at the guide, you can be like, oh, That's what I think that was about. So I do want to give you, again, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to explore the Safe Spaces website and talk to some table partners. And I'll check in with you in a few minutes. Okay, let's see if we can take one more minute to wrap up our conversations. Okay, wherever you are in your conversation is fine. If you can begin to close out your sentence, close out your thoughts. I'm curious, what did we notice about the languages offered in the Safe Spaces website? Did anybody notice? English and Spanish, yeah. Not other languages yet, but a great place for us to be able to share with our Spanish-speaking families. I know a few of us have actually used the Safe Spaces modules. I'm wondering, is there anybody in here who has used them who would be willing to say a few words? Shannon, do you want me to bring the mic over? Sure. You've got an AP voice, I know you.
I've used this before. It's a little plug I wanted to make, if you will, is that even though it is a 2-hour training, there's multiple modules. They can all be completed asynchronously. So you can create your account, do part of it, come back later. And what's great if you supervise other staff is once you complete the module, certificate gets printed out. So then you can show that, right, that it has been completed. If you want to consider having your staff do some professional learning that is asynchronous, and then that can be done at their timeline. The other thing I really wanted to highlight is you don't necessarily have to do all the modules in there, and they do a really good job of really being thoughtful about language use. For example, there's a really good module on the differences between stress versus trauma, and so it can be a good refresher for staff or a good entry point too.
I did not prep her to say that. But it's so good. It's so good. And it is free and it is available. And you do not need to be an educator in order to access this. This can be for parents. This can be those of us who work with community partnerships. Okay. As we close our time, I'm going to spotlight 3 more resources from the guide, but we're not going to watch videos. This is just going to be really quick. So the first is the SEL discussion series for parents and caregivers. This is a PDF with a lot of clickable links in it, but it's a powerful tool because it was designed to help parents lead the conversations about SEL themselves, hosting discussions with other parents about social and emotional learning. So this interactive PDF explains why it's important to engage families and caregivers in SEL, and it offers strategies to build their confidence as facilitators. It includes 10 ready-to-use SEL topics, each with folders of materials like slide decks, facilitator guides, and handouts. And by putting parents in that facilitator role, this resource fosters that authentic peer-to-peer learning. It builds trust. It strengthens the connection between home and school. And it's not just about sharing information, but about creating a community of caregivers who are empowered to support children's social and emotional growth together. And of course, if you do not have any parents who are willing yet to step into that role of facilitator, you could use the resources to co-present or present on your own. The next resource, is Healthy Minds, Thriving Kids. So this is a free program. Again, all of these resources are free. That was created through a partnership between the state of California and the Child Mind Institute. So it provides a series of short, evidence-based videos and print resources that caregivers and educators can use to help children learn essential mental health and coping skills. And I found this resource particularly valuable because it's both accessible and practical. The videos are tailored for different age groups, from elementary through high school, and they address different everyday topics. It could be managing stress, building resilience, handling difficult emotions. And each video, again, is paired with discussion guides and activities, making it easy for adults to reinforce the lessons either at home, if you're a parent and you're like, this is something I want to do as a parent, or you could do this with a parent group and give it to them to take home. Or even if you have a student leadership group at your school and you're wanting to do this with your student leadership group or in a classroom. And importantly, again, all of the content is available in both English and Spanish. So by normalizing conversations about mental health, Healthy Minds, Thriving Kids is helping equip students for those lifelong skills. And then the third resource that I wanted to highlight is move your body, calm your mind. So this was another statewide initiative, and it highlights the link, as we heard from our team from Orange County, that link between physical activity and mental well-being. So again, videos, print materials, links to organizations that promote daily movement, mindfulness, and breath work. And why I highlighted this particular program is because it's not just about exercise, but the focus is about building a positive, inclusive culture of movement where everyone, regardless of age, ability, can participate. And California's commitment here is twofold. One, to encourage young people to support their mental health through movement, but also to foster communities where physical activity is a joyful shared experience, right? We all know, we have all had students for whom movement is not a joy. PE is something that maybe brings shame or discomfort. So these are resources that help address that. So by engaging both body and mind, this resource helps students and families tap into the benefits of movement for stress relief, focus, and resilience. So as we wrap up, I just want to emphasize that the resources that we've explored and that are available in this pamphlet that I really hope you'll look at later when you've got a little bit more mental space, but so much of this is thanks to CalHOPE. And at the close of its 5-year funding cycle, CalHOPE created this image that we see on the screen as part of a kind of final grant report called Sowing the Seeds. And it summarizes key learnings that came up through the initiative, and it offers recommendations for how SEL can continue to shape education moving forward. And in many ways, it captures the spirit of the learning and the resources and the conversations that we've had throughout this conference. The image illustrates that when we start with a foundation of SEL competencies like self-awareness, agency, belonging, relationship building, we are planting the roots for growth. And when schools and communities use the right levers, strong partnerships, supportive structures, consistent routines, those roots are structured. And when we create the right climate with safety, connection, culturally responsive practices, and opportunities for student and parent and community voice and leadership, we provide the environment that students and adults need to thrive. The result being healthier systems, stronger communities with growth and engagement, performance, and well-being. So if you'd like to dig deeper and learn more about SEL and its role in developing thriving school systems, I highly encourage you to explore the CalHOPE Sowing the Seeds report and their peer-reviewed article in the Journal of Social and Emotional Learning. Both share stories, lessons, and insights from across California that can help inform how we continue to grow SEL in our schools and communities. And so we began today with an inclusion activity, and we'll end with an optimistic closure. So this is another one of the SEL key signature practices from CASEL. An optimistic closure is a brief reflective activity that ends a meeting, a lesson, a professional learning session, and helps participants leave with a sense of connection, accomplishment, and purpose. And instead of just ending, it allows for a little intentionality. Optimistic closures can take many forms. We've seen some of them today. It can be a quick round of appreciation. It can be sharing a takeaway or a next step. It could be another gratitude practice or writing down a key commitment to try. So as we prepare to leave, I invite you to reflect on what is your +1 or small next step from today. We had folks at the table over there say, I'm going to sign up for the Greater Good magazine newsletter. It could be a +1 that came up from something else in today's sessions. It could be, you know what? I'm going to email that person that I met at the table over there because they had some really cool and interesting things to say. But just think about and reflect, what is your +1? Maybe write it down. Maybe text it to yourself, whatever will work for you to keep that commitment. And to conclude, we are here because we care deeply about building resilience, thriving school communities through proactive, collective approaches to wellness. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to all of you for all of the work that you do to support one another and to support our students. And a reminder that we are not alone in this work. So many of the resources that are in the guide were provided for free by these outstanding organizations. And if you'd like to connect about all things SEL, here's my information. Don't hesitate to reach out if you want those kind of highlight reels of what to look for in the resource guide. Hit me up. I'd love to give them to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Appreciate you. And for sharing all those incredible resources. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wrote down something that stuck with me from your presentation. Do we all feel like we had some joyful shared experiences today? I feel like we definitely did, so thank you. The whole day! I feel like the whole day we had just some incredible connection and joy, just really is the word that comes to my brain.